Welcome to our very first edition of MoLabs. This is where we will be supporting our filmmaking community all over the world and hopefully providing them with tips and tricks in this crazy world of generative AI. Next slide. To kick things off, we will pass it over to Lee Margolis. And
Hill and Audrey, you've seen my sticker before, but I did receive a very interesting message from the president that we're just going to play to kind of warm this thing up. And you tell me, obviously, it's a little AI fun here, but Nathan, just stop before he gets offensive, okay?
Sure.
Lee, this is your president. No, not Sleepy Joe. Come on now, son. Isn't a man allowed to take a nap without a fella calling him sleepy? Anyways, let's flush that garbage down the toilet and talk turkey. I'm here to, I hear you've been putting up stickers of a big bearded fella, which, oh, I see. These stickers are of you. Well, hell, Lee, I thought you must be some little boy putting these stickers up all over town like some kind of garbage pail kid freak, but I can see here you are a full-grown adult man. I assume you...
That's good right there. There you go. So if you guys are up for it, especially, I mean, when you're dealing with voiceover stuff, 11 Labs is just killer, and maybe we'll do a review of that in our next session. But someone just sent that to me recently. I just thought it was brilliant. T, you're on to the next slide.
So welcome again to MoLabs. That's just a little taste of what we're going to talk about today. I'm your host, Tatiana Spiegel, EP based out of North America. We have Lee Margolis, our Global Executive Creative Director, Nathan Fan, our Marketing Coordinator Extraordinaire, our two special guest panelists, Audrey Love from Echo Studios, Creative Director, and then also Hilarion Banks, Director and Cinematographer. Thank you both so much for coming to do this with us. And we can move on to the next slide to just walk us through a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. So MoLabs is just a sort of unofficial name that we've called this webinar series. We've realized we've been around for about 13 years, and we've always been supporters of the community and educating the community. And we just felt like now is a really amazing time to give as many tools and supportive insights as we could to sort of support your creativity and in this very ever-changing landscape of generative AI. Yep, so here's our agenda today. So we're going to walk through a couple of panel questions for our panelists just to get a taste of how they're thinking about AI. We'll look at some poll results that we took recently from our filmmaking community. We'll also just talk you through some personal experiences we've been having with ChatGPT and Midjourney. We'll actually do a live demo, which is very, we're opening it up to the team here. So that should be very interactive. And then we'll also have a Q&A session, which hopefully we'll get to as many questions as we can. And we'll talk through a couple of resources of places we like to go as we continue to learn about this space. So I'm going to hand it over to our special guest here. So a couple of questions for you, and hopefully you can do this in 22 seconds, but I'll start with you, Audrey. Have you used ChatGPT or Midjourney? Briefly tell us about your experience. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Go.
Yes, I've used both. I burned through my Midjourney free credits pretty quickly, getting the handle of it. I've used ChatGPT as a writing assistant, as a creative assistant, as a scheduling assistant. I feel like I'm just really clawing at the walls of its capabilities.
Nice. What about you, Hilarion?
I've experimented with both, and I think they're really, really useful in getting, especially with Midjourney, getting the client and you on the same page. My fiance is a very, very experienced copywriter, and she's used ChatGPT, but she says it's not quite ready to post, but it's at like 90% there. So she still has a job, but it cuts out maybe an hour overtime every day. So
yeah, so it's making her life a little bit more efficient, which is a lot of what the community is saying right now. The reason we asked to have you say that within 22 seconds is that that's the average time it takes Midjourney to actually generate an image, which we found really interesting. So the sense I get is that both of you feel that this is a creative helper rather than a creative threat. Is that right?
For
go ahead,
now, I
Audrey.
want to say, I
Okay.
feel like we're dealing with this tool that was created based on a set of facts up until I think 2021 or the very beginning of 2022. So like we've advanced quickly creatively past that. So it's still a tool, and artists are allowed to use whatever tool they need. But when it starts feeling like a director, then I think we're going to have to take another evaluation at it.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about it, who was in film school when green screen and blue screen came along. And he was like, this is the exact same conversation we all had. Everyone was freaking out. Everyone thought they weren't going to have a job, but it turned into, yes, you can do anything, but you have to know exactly how to shoot it to make it work. And you not need to, it created a bunch of jobs. Yeah, some people lost jobs, but they just pivoted into another area.
Right, the industry adapted, and as we all will too, right? So just, you know, if you go to the next slide, you'll see a lot of the sentiment that you're all sharing with us here today is very similar to what we've learned in our creative community. We actually took a poll. Yes, Nathan, next slide.
Yes.
We took a poll recently and we asked them these types of questions, and you'll see here on the left-hand side, about 38% actually thought they were sort of neutral about their feelings on AI generative tools. And that really could be for many different reasons. However, one of the things that we thought about is like, perhaps people are kind of fatigued from coming off of the whole metaverse NFT conversation that we just were having for the last year and a half. And then here on the right, you'll see, you know, 40% of folks really believe that these tools perhaps could maybe take over our jobs. I'm here to tell you today that's likely not the case today. I don't know about the future, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But then 45% really don't think they'll take over jobs at all. So, you know, I think the industry is sort of divided on this topic. So we can go over to the next slide. And so, you know, just speaking about ChatGPT, for example, I mean, you really do need a human to be a part of the conversation, and you actually have to verify that you're human. So there's no way that your job is being taken straight out the gates, right?
I thought it was messing with me at first. I thought it was being ironic, but we thought it was worth adding to this as well. It's kind of giving us a little wink there.
Yeah, it's giving us a wink, and it's also reminding us that they, you know, these machines, they really do need our wisdom, they need our creativity, they need our direction. This idea of human in the loop really is affirming that, right? So it really needs a human to give that direct feedback, to ensure that you're getting the best results possible, and constantly evolving and training the model to do exactly what you want it to do. So another example of that, and what we've been seeing quite in the industry, everybody's been talking about, like, some of these AI models are actually slightly flawed. This for Women's Day is a perfect example. Women's Day was yesterday, and it's obviously the full month, but TEDx Amsterdam and ACE, which is an agency based out of Amsterdam, they decided to actually roll out their own AI model that specifically addresses some of the flaws that AI that they were seeing. So we could just play
promotional. Yeah, this was a promotional film. I don't know if we can play that or not, Nathan. That'd be great. But it was promotional film for an event they were doing. But it's really well written. Maybe we can watch the first little bit of it. Let me know if you can hear it.
If you ask AI to visualize a professional, less than 20% are women.
I want to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI. These programs create images, and these images have never been seen before anywhere. Artificial intelligence to generate images. Anything you type into art.
There is a big gender bias.
They say that AI is pushing mankind forward, but what about womankind? TEDx Amsterdam Women presents Midjourney, the AI alternative built to challenge traditional patterns and stereotypes.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting to kind of put it on its head. If the algorithm or the AI itself is actually kind of leaning in on the stereotypes, how do we direct it in the right way? So, you know, that engagement is important.
Exactly.
Nathan, you
yes.
want to quickly go through some of what you did here during the Super Bowl? We just wanted to mess around at the time when ChatGPT was kind of first taking off, which just seems like yesterday. But we started asking it to make a quick little Super Bowl ad, and we ran into the same kind of issues here. Sorry, Nathan, go ahead.
No, of course. Thank you, Lee, for that wonderful introduction. But yes, for the Super Bowl ad, or for the Super Bowl, we wanted to ask ChatGPT to make a Super Bowl ad for itself. So we gave it this prompt: write an award-winning and hilarious Super Bowl advertisement for ChatGPT, starring Kevin Hart and a unicorn. It gave us this great prompt. We loved the script, but we consulted with legal and they said, nope, you can't use Kevin Hart. So we said, never mind. So we adjusted the prompt, saying, and taking out Kevin Hart and just saying star a comedian. And it gave us the script. It was more generic and boring, and we weren't really sure who the comedian was. Was it a woman, a man, a non-binary comedian? We weren't sure. So in the final iteration, we put in as much detail as we could about who the celebrity was and what we wanted the script to look like. So write an award-winning, hilarious Super Bowl ad for yourself, ChatGPT, starring a POC female celebrity and a unicorn, and show several scenarios of how ChatGPT can answer a variety of queries. And it gave us this wonderful, script that we ended up using for social. So this is all just to say that, you need human input and creativity in your prompts so that you can actually generate things. It's not going to come out super easy.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it casts itself as the unicorn, which was
Yes.
really also kind of funny about that whole thing. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Nathan. We
Yes.
then bounced over to Midjourney, of course, and you can see kind of like the Kevin Hart version of it. Then, of course, like for the comedian, without us putting proper, kind of guardrails on it, turned out like Jim Gaffigan or someone like that. And so exactly what Nathan said, you see that one on the right where it actually got to where we wanted to be with it. Very fun little exploration. It already feels a bit outdated. It was a month ago, and I feel like people are already messing with this, but we wanted to share that. But it's a good segue to go into some of our Midjourney stuff. It sounds like, Audrey and Hill, you guys have kind of messed around with it. I really like the prompt for image and blend. For anyone that's on the call, I think the first step is to make sure that you sign up at Discord, which is kind of the gateway to get into this stuff. But if you go to the next slide, you'll see here. Yeah. So just making sure Discord, and then you kind of get onto Midjourney and other stuff as well. Because it's all in beta. This is the thing that I've been finding as I'm messing around with this, both for work things and for stuff. The more detail I give, both from like a cinematic point of view, that I want it to look like a 1970s style footage from a comedy or that kind of thing, street scene, the 3-2-1 ratio, all these little details here. And the whole prompt game is really fascinating to me because you really are creative directing the machine itself to find what you're looking for. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see, in this case, I used a raw image, which I'll do a little demo on from the AI festival that I went to, and then put it into Midjourney while I was there and added the prompt, giant pink bunny. And that was the results of it. So it was kind of fun to play around with. The other interesting thing to note about the AI Film Festival, a lot of what we're talking about here, they brought up, and there was some beautiful stuff that we'll show you, but Darren Aronofsky was there, and he is a huge fan, and he was talking about if he would have had this for Black Swan, he could have visualized a lot of that stuff early on. There is a recording of the whole event that we can send around if you want to listen to this panel talk. It was pretty great. They did share about 15 films, and this was one of them. And it's worth kind of playing right here. This was done with a blend of Midjourney and Runway. And I think the music itself was also AI as well. And it's taking on a real problem in the world, something we've heard about, but the texture of it feels very different as a film.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we can play a little bit of it, I believe.
Yeah, it's about a minute long. send it around. It's pretty amazing. I won't share the ending. It's tough, right? It's a topic, right? We throw a lot of plastic into the water, and this one artist put this film together, and it won an award at the event that I was at. If you go back to the deck. Yeah. And then here, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing, just taking an image and adding in whether it's like a prompt to be Zeus comic book on the right, or a spaceman from Pixar, or just a spider. If you look at the next slide here, Nathan, thank you, sir. Obviously, you know what's going on there. I barely, by the way, so in some of the early stuff, I was doing elaborate prompts, and with this, it was just my face, but the word elephant, and it just kind of filled in the blanks, which was really kind of fun to play with, which is amazing. This is Nathan as his favorite animal, which was also a lot of fun to explore and play with.
You look great.
You look great, Nathan. And then here, it's also very interesting with that blend, instead of the, the prompt imagine, to use the word blend. And those were screen grabs from Zoom meetings that I had with my two favorite people at Mofilm, and it produced an image of them woven together, which was pretty great. And I think they both loved and appreciated. I don't know for certain.
Sure, we did.
Yeah, totally.
This was another storyboard that I just couldn't find. I thought it'd be fun to play with, but it's someone delivering food. And I guess he's done a lot of these and made, people happy when he's delivering food, but he's dressed as Pickle Rick or as a pickle. And so Midjourney was able to kind of produce these for our for the storyboard of that script, which was great. So it's just a lot of fun. Instead of going to Getty, you can kind of mess around with it and that way and get really specific with it. Obviously, I've been obsessed with this. My wife's like, you gotta stop, playing with it, but I can't. So a lot of this here, not only logo design, but like aliens eating at restaurants, you name it, pit bulls in space, Wes Anderson wrestling match in the bottom right-hand corner there. As much as you can blend, if you can think of it, you can visualize it. It might not be right. And then you kind of like mess around, which I'll show in the demo a little bit too. I think the next slide's just more. That's my CEO on the right there. If you go back, that's Michelle in a Wes Anderson movie. Below is our new business guy, Doug, as a king. And then, of course, aliens standing in front of their new car in the mid-1970s using a Polaroid camera. Pie eating contest is always my favorite as well. And I'm happy to share any of my prompts if that will make you guys happy.
Wait, one thing I just wanted to know about Midjourney is that none of these images that are generated you're able to use for commercial use. So it's just something, that this industry is like trying to figure out the legalities of it all and IP, and but Midjourney specifically, you can brainstorm, but you can't actually use it. But it's really fun.
And it sounds like, I grabbed some old prompts just to see. One of the things that I've been playing with is if you put the same prompt in from, a week ago, would it do the same thing? So I was kind of curious about that for this session here. So obviously typing in the word imagine, which does the prompt once you put the slash in. And then, photos from 1980s high school yearbook, pixelated giant pink bunny mascot in band class. And so I don't know do we have the timer? Are we timing this? But it seems to be about 22 seconds here, depending on your Wi-Fi. So that was the other thing that came up at the AI thing. Your creativity is as limited as the Wi-Fi you have, which I thought was kind of brilliant. It's true. It's kind of messing around in that way. And just for those that are also on the call, one of the things that's kind of amazing about this too is it gives you 4 up front at first. And it's funny that like David Bowie seems to be making its way into this, because I was messing around with David Bowie imagery at one point. And so it seems to really know what I like and not like. But we have these prompts down here where U stands for upgrade of this first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. And V will give me version of 1, 2, 3, 4, or I can just hit refresh. I don't know. Audrey, is there a preference here that you like? I'm just gonna upscale one of these.
But bottom right. I think I like that it has framing in the photo of a photo.
Yeah, like why? I think it's the yearbook part of it that made that. So I'm going to do a version of that just to see, and then we'll pick one off of that to kind of play. Yeah, and so then it's very nuanced, but then suddenly, as you know, like you'll see like in their their expressions and personalities. It's kind of really one of those things that is just a lot of fun to mess with. And you can then, of course, I just got a request from someone on the team. They wanted a dragon to be under someone's desk here at the office. And so that's what I'm working on for that assignment. I don't know what it's for. They didn't give me any details on that. And then I just upscaled it for that. And then if you, I mean, Audrey, have you played with Blend at all?
I haven't. Is it the same / prompt forward?
Yeah, so you do blend, and then it will ask for 2 images. So I will screen grab. Are you okay if I screen grab you, or do you want? I'll do. You know what I'll do? I'll do Nathan, and I'll do Hill, just to because he's got those headphones on. I think it'll be fun. And T, keep me honest on time. I know that I can go down a rabbit hole here, and you've asked me to keep it nice and
Yeah, we can do this last one and then we'll open it up for any questions.
okay, cool. And I know we also have so here's Nathan, and then here is Hill, and then I just hit return on this. And in about 22 seconds, sometimes it's a little longer with the blend, but this is kind of cool too to see and it's funny to see. Oh my gosh, he's timing me. Thank you, Nathan.
Oh.
There you go. Oh, that's the old one. Oh, geez, here we go. Oh yeah.
Oh. Oh my. Oh my.
I love that it took
Wow.
liberty to give you, yeah, they went bearded more on the right and then less so on the left.
They took half of Nathan's hair and half of my hair.
Yep.
I like that
You
you
can see
call
that. You
them.
can.
I like that you call them they, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. A lot of fun. Very. You can get very obsessive with it if you let it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. And Nathan, do you want to? If you want to go back, I know that we only have. That was the fastest half hour of my day. We only have 6 minutes left, but there were a few more slides that. And then hopefully we'll have time for any Q&A.
Yes, let me pull it up really quickly.
Well, I think we're right at time for some question and answer, and I'll start with maybe Hilarion and Audrey if you have any questions, and then we'll open it up to the floor of the people there on the call.
Questions or thoughts?
I had one. Sometimes when I'm putting together treatments for clients or anything like that, I'll find the perfect image on Getty or something on Google, but it's a very small. And then I try to get like a higher res version of it or anything that looks good, higher res, and they don't have it. Have you guys ever run it? What when you take photos from it, is it pretty high res?
Yeah, Nathan, go back to that slide real quick there. So, I mean, I downgraded that. That was an upgrade from 4 images to 1, and then that's a full bleed on a deck basically. But I did it in the style of a mid-70s film. So if you type in, and I can send you these prompts, but like live demonstration TV show mid-70s, so it forces it to look a certain way. But a lot of this stuff looks pretty great when you put it into decks. I've found, big or small. I have never checked the weight of it though. That's a good question, but for my purposes and presentation mode, not using for, like T was saying, in market anywhere, it gets the job done.
Wow.
I guess I have a question too, which is how do you think that we get people to be the best prompt engineers? Because I feel like it can be so open-ended, and really it comes down to the text that you're inputting in these services that really will give you the value out of it, and learning those engineering skills and those questioning skills and those language models, not to be redundant, but seems to be critical.
I agree. It's playing with it. That was the other thing that came out of the film festival. They're like, just play. And in the group chat on Midjourney on Discord, there's a ton of sharing of ideas I'm sure you've seen. And that's where, I'm going to pull that and try that out and see what that looks like. As we do our next one, which we're actually going to have a rep from Runway, it's video basically, which is going to be incredible. It's even more of that kind of thing. in terms of like how you use the AI to what mechanics you need to put in there to get what you want. You have something in your mind and you want to see it. Like, how do I prompt this? How do I guide this, you know, AI to kind of produce something close to what I'm visualizing in my mind. So I agree with you. And that the prompt game is really a big part of, I think, what we're seeing right now. It's also funny to kind of think about, like, you know, if you remember back when like Google first started, people were like, well, you know, Google it and you can get some answers going. It reminds me a little bit of that moment, like how to use the thing to get what you want out of it.
We actually have a question in the chat from Kaylin. She asks, or they ask, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of different platforms pop up. How do you decide which platforms to use? Which are best, easiest for newbies, best quality? How do you evaluate new platforms?
I love that. I find playing with it. If you go to that next slide right there, you'll see this Don on your left. You should follow him. He is kind of a great resource on Instagram and other spaces where he's demoing a lot of this stuff and doing kind of nice little sessions where he's showing you how to use it. This other thing on the right, Brandscape, is another place where they have a whole kind of portfolio of different AI, and that runs the gamut. And I think it's just a matter of exploring and playing with these things. You'll know right away, with like, oh, that was very intuitive, or that's not right for me and I don't want to use that anymore. I think a part of it also is deciding what you want to do with it. Do I want voice? Do I want music? Do I want just visual for storyboards? Do I want edit? Like, there's all the different kind of moments in creating you know, kind of a creative asset. I would say depends what you're kind of thinking, what kind of project you want to use it on. But that Brandscape is kind of amazing because it really, they have like, there's all sorts of different categories. If you just want a design thing, a voice one, there's a lot to play with there. And if ultimately, if you don't like it, yeah, there you go. If you don't like it, you can kind of like, all right, I'm going to try something else. We're just seeing like this massive amount of options right now. I have found Midjourney to be the most fun for me for that kind of thing. And this guy, Don, on the left here is just incredible. It's worth following. Sorry, T, I know, I can tell you're like, yeah.
Yeah, so we have 1 minute left, but just one thing I want to go back to what your question, Audrey, on prompt engineering. Nima, he just wrote in the chat something really great that I think is worth sharing with the wider team, that there's a lot of guidelines out there that are available on prompt engineering, and the basic structure normally should be instructions, input data, output indicators. So that could help. And then also, like what Lee was saying, experimenting, trying new things. I think that's what it's all about. It's like just having an open mind and like trying everything that you can until you get the results that you want. So with that, I think we are going to wrap this session. So again, this is like episode 1 of a series. So our next episode will be, we'll have the head of solutions from Runway, Generative AI, Generative I think it's called, their particular tool. And they're going to walk us through that new tool. And it's essentially it generates footage. You upload footage and it can change it to any aesthetic that you'd like. So that's very exciting. But yeah, thank you so much. We're really excited to continue these webinar series. And we will be, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Lee or Nathan, and we'll continue the conversation.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Everyone.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
This was fun. Bye-bye.
Yeah, right. For those who are still in chat, you can take a look here. You can email Tatiana if you have any more questions. That slide didn't show up for some reason earlier, but yes, thank you everyone so much.